What's going on, everybody? This is Frank Chen with REIClub.com, and today we're going to be talking about the HUD-1 closing document. So whether you've closed your first deal or you're planning on closing a lot of deals in the coming year, this is a document that you cannot escape and you will always see a lot of. We get a lot of questions from our investors asking, hey Frank, can you go over the HUD-1 document so we get a better understanding of what to look for? Absolutely. So that's what we're going to get covered today. As you can see right over here is where I included that document. This is a very standard HUD-1. We've also included a download in the description below. So you can just copy a PDF so you can kind of follow along. But we're just going to highlight mainly the main areas, what to look out for. But ideally, what is a HUD-1? It's the closing document you use to pretty much document everything from the closing costs to your agent fees to loan originations. Pretty much all the numbers involved in a transaction are put onto these documents so you can kind of just see it and make sure everything looks correct. So let's go ahead and get started right into this, okay? So the first section that we want to pay attention to is the type of loan. Now, understand if you're paying in cash, then this area will probably be more than likely left blank. If you are taking out a loan, this is where it'll identify what type of loan it is. Now, other information to pay attention to here is just to make sure that the address of the borrower, the seller, depending on which one you are in this transaction, is correct. Make sure all the legal descriptions are correct as well. If you're doing it through an LLC, an incorporation, whatever it may be, all you're doing here in this first initial section is just to make sure all the information is written correctly, okay? The next important thing that we want to look at too, probably the most important thing, is columns J and columns K, okay? Now, depending on, again, where you are in this transaction, the left side will always be the borrower side, and the right side will be the person who's selling the property, okay? Now, the first item you really want to look into is the purchase price. Make sure this number is correct, that you guys are agreeing on the right price. And the next thing that you also want to pay attention to is the settlement charges. Now, understand that the fees are going to be different on the borrower side versus the seller. A lot of times, there's a lot more fees on the borrower side, okay? So let's, again, first review the settlement charges, which is usually going to be on page 2. So go ahead and scroll down to page 2. So here's page 2, and how we came up with that initial number here, 828323, is all the numbers here, okay? So let's go quickly through each of these items. Item in row 700 is going to be your broker's fees. This is where you pay your real estate agents depending on the percentage you agree upon, usually around 6%, and then of the purchase price, and it's split between two if there are two agents. And that's where this number is coming to play, and you have this number here, okay? Next is your items payable to the loan. So anytime you do take out a loan, say you do take out a loan, it's called a loan origination fee. Now, this is what basically the banks or whoever your lender is doing all of their work, checking your credit, make sure there's no liens, make sure everything is good to go for your loan, and there's a flat fee for this or a percentage of the cost, which is here. It'll vary based on the lender that you're working with, but again, you should have this number from them prior to going to closing, so just make sure this number matches up. Again, your title company is communicating with all parties involved as well. Next is row 900, items required by lender to be paid in advance. So if you have mortgage insurance, homeowners insurance, interest, these are all going to be end up prorated based on when you purchase it, right? For a 12-month calendar year, if I'm buying in, say, the 8th month of the year, then they're going to prorate the last 4 months for me, so I'm not paying for the 8 months that the seller already paid for, okay? So that kind of just want to go over these numbers. If you have any questions regarding the calculations, definitely ask your title company. Again, these are just math that the title company has done. Just verify, okay? Same thing with the reserve. Again, it just shows you a little more details of the proration here. And your title charges is the next thing we want to talk to. Similar to your lenders, title companies also have their fees involved to make sure there's no liens on the property. They have to do their due diligence on the buyer and the seller side, make sure this is going to be a clean closing, okay? And if there's any hiccups or anything like that, the title company will try to resolve that prior to sending out this document to you, okay? Now, when I say that is most of the time, actually, we'll cut that in a little bit. So let's first get through here. Next thing we want to talk to is the government recording transfer fees. Again, these are just standard costs for, the title company. It's very negligible, but these, again, are flat fees that are just inescapable in most cases, okay? But basically, this is just a copy of the very bottom here is a total of all of these fees due by the borrower, okay? And then these are some of the fees that are due by the seller, okay? And again, these numbers will be transferred to page 1. If you go back to page 1, we'll see the settlement charges here for the borrower side, and then you have the settlement charges here for the seller side. Now, the last thing that we really want to focus on is the cash from and cash to seller, okay? Now, this number here is pretty much some math based on this is the total number of all these added up and then minus the fees that are paid, right? So this is exactly what you have to bring if you're on the borrower side to closing, okay? So in addition to whatever your lender is giving you, say you're going that route, this is what you have to bring to closing. Now, if you're on the seller side, a lot of times that means this is what you're gonna be taking home, okay? You're on the borrower side, what you're bringing to closing. If you're on the seller side, what you're taking home. Now, a lot of times you're gonna get an estimate of this HUD-1 roughly 14 days. I've seen as little as 7 days prior to closing from the title company. They're going to send you a sample document. They'll even tell you this is just an estimate. Please review it. And what they're asking you to look for is exactly what we talked about today. Just quickly review these numbers, make sure everything is right, spelling's good, legal description is right. Go through each of the items, okay, as we discussed today. Make sure the purchase price is correct. Go through your settlement charges. Make sure your real estate fees are correct. All these things are numbers. And again, if you have any questions at all, you can either first call your title company, then refer to your agent and figure it out. But again, the title company is going to be the one who has your answers. But know that depending on which title company you're working with, say you have a long relationship with them, these fees can actually be negotiated down. Again, if you're a producer, the title company wants your business. They don't want you going anywhere else. So there are some flexibility when it comes to these fees that you can work with them on. But again, most of these fees are standard and prorations of things that you already have to pay. Again, all you got to do is just check and balance, okay? So when you get to closing, you're not going to be throwing a curveball like, what the heck is this? What the heck is that? And that's all it is, guys. This is just a very simple form. I know there's a lot of numbers and things that are going on, but really that's how you kind of isolate what to look for and what you need to bring to closing, and then what to expect to get paid if you're on the seller side. Okay, so that's pretty much the HUD-1 in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions at all about this video or anything that we may not have been clear on, please leave a comment in the comment section below so we can help you out further. Of course, if you haven't already, click the like button because it really does help us out. And if you haven't already as well, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can keep you informed anytime a new video just like this is posted. Of course, if there's any other documents that you would like us to review, please let us know also in the description below, and we'll be able to address those in future videos. Again, this is Frank Chen with REIClub.com. Thank you guys so much for your time, your continued support, and I look forward to talking to you guys next time. Take care, good investing, and bye-bye.